Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter for the next 20 minutes. Today we are going to be talking about New Year prep in the donations module. So there's nothing that's really required of you to do in donations to set up for the new year, but there are a couple different things that we really recommend you take a look at, or maybe some things you can get updated just in preparations for the new year. Now, the document or the outline that I'm following today can be found on our website. I do want to point that out real fast because I think this is going to be pretty helpful for a lot of people. So what you'll want to do is come up under supporting, and then under supporting, if you come down towards the bottom, there's a New Year prep and help option. Go ahead and click on that. And then right over here on the left, end of year, New Year prep documents. If you scroll down, here's the donations one. So this link right here is going to take you to the document that I am using today for the presentation. So, and of course the presentation is going to be recorded, so you can definitely find it on our website and rewatch it. But if you want the document, that's where you'll find it. Now Josh will be signing in with me shortly. He is going to be answering questions, so if you do come across a question, feel free to wait till the end of the webinar to ask it. I might be covering it, or you can ask it during the presentation. I would ask that you try to keep your questions topical. We have about 80 people registered today, so as long as your question is topical, feel free to type that in, and Josh or I will get you a response. If it's something a little more specific or off topic, it would be really best to just call us on our 1-800 number or shoot us an email to support@churchwindows.com and we can get it answered that way. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and open up donations. And I am working in version 21.18.2. That is our most current version as of today. And as we come up with updates, always check our website or check your email. We'll shoot you an email out when we have an update available. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is giver numbers. Giver numbers are not required to be used in donations. So if you don't use giver numbers, this will not pertain to you, but if you do use giver numbers, it's usually recommended that you go in and do some cleanup on those numbers at the end of the year. Again, if you have giver numbers and you want those numbers to continue for those people, so say Mary Smith has always had number 5 and she's going to keep number 5 indefinitely, then you don't need to update anything with giver numbers. But we do have people that leave the church, pass away, and those numbers do need to be cleaned up so they can become available to give to someone else. Okay, so excuse me, the first screen I want to take you to is up at the top under givers, and then it's this manage numbers screen. This screen is awesome for updating and changing giver numbers. It's really the best place to go in and be able to customize those numbers. It allows you to set start dates and end dates. So you can end a number and then start a new number, and that allows you to see the history of who had what number and when. Okay, so I would like to show you how to stop a giver number. So our first example we're going to do is Miss Nina. She has number 34. It appears as though she's had this number since the beginning of 2011. Now let's say Nina has moved away. So she no longer needs number 34. We want to end that number so it's available to give to someone else. All you have to do to end the number is click right here in the end date and type in the date you want that number to stop. So we're going to go ahead and do 12/31/2018. Okay? You can use any end date you want as long as it's one day after the start date that you've entered. Okay? If you want to just delete the number entirely, you don't want any history of it, over here you have a little blue minus sign. That's going to be your delete. All right? Let's also do Penny while we're in here. Say Penny passed away this year. I need to remove her number. So we can use the search box here to locate Penny. Here she comes highlighted at the bottom. We're going to come in here and just type in an end date, 12/31/2018. Now that number will be available to reassign to someone 1 day after her end date. So we could give someone else number 9 starting 1/1/2019. Okay? Now, let's move on to page 2 of our document. And I want to show you how to reassign a number. So you have two options for reassigning. You can go through one by one and reassign numbers here in the Manage Numbers screen, or you can do the auto assign, which I'll show you that next. But let's say, for example, Miss Carolyn here, she has number 5. Let's say we need to stop number 5 for Carolyn at the end of the year, and we're going to have her start with number 11 for 2019. There's a nice little plus sign over here. It's really handy. All you have to do is hit this little plus sign on Carolyn's line, and it's going to ask you what number you want to assign. So let's put in number 11. We're going to put in a start date of 2019, and then we're going to hit OK. And as long as number 11 is available at or after this date, it's going to accept it. Okay, so now we see Carolyn has an end date of 12/31/2018. And then if you want to see the future numbers you've assigned up here in the top right, just check Future, uncheck Current, and we can see Carolyn now has number 11 starting in 2019. All right. And you can go through and do that to as many people as you want. Say you have about half your people are keeping the new number, but then you have about half your people that you need to add or change. You can use the plus sign. If you have a brand new person who doesn't have a number at all that you need to assign a number to, you would simply find them up here, select them, and then hit this Add New Number button. You put in the number you want them to have. Let's do 550. And then the date you want that number to start. And then you say OK. And now Richard's number, 550, will start 1/1/2019. All right, so that's how you use this Manage Numbers screen. Now, let's say you want to go in and you want to update everybody's number. So you want to clean up, you want to reorganize them, sort them in alphabetical order, and then start at number 1 and work your way through the alphabet. Best place to do that is going to be in the Auto Assign screen. So that's up here at the top. Under Givers, go to Auto Assign Number. It is going to give you a message telling you that you have exclusive access to this screen, the Manage Number screen. Nobody else will be able to access this. So if you're on a network and you're working in here, nobody's going to be able to do Auto Assign or work in Manage Numbers. So all you have to do is click OK through that. And then it's going to open up with our Choose Giver screen. Okay, so this is where you first specify when you want these new numbers to start. I want these new numbers to start 1/1/2019. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's going to tell me some people have giver numbers that start after 1/1/2019, just because I just 2 seconds ago added in some numbers for 2019. If we continue with this process, it will wipe those out. That's fine. This is just an example, so I'm just going to hit OK through that. All right, now it's going to give me all of my givers on the left. This is everybody I can pick from to use in the auto assign. Now for this example, I only want to include people who have a giver number. So up here at the top, I'm going to uncheck this box. I want to exclude people without a number. So I'm going to uncheck that box, and now you see my list has changed, and it's only showing me people who have a giver number. Okay? Now, let's say Nina, since she passed away, and also Penny, she moved away, I want to go ahead and get those people off of my list. They should not be included for my assignment for next year. So it's very important that you come down here and you remove this checkbox to include givers numbers who, to include givers whose last number ended 12/31/2018. So I'm going to uncheck this box, and now we see Nina's no longer in the list, neither is Penny. So everybody who's left, I want to assign a new number to. I'm going to hit Select All, and I'm going to hit my right-facing arrow. This is going to move all of those people I want included in the auto assign for the new numbers over to the right. Say you have a couple people who don't currently have a number that you want to add to this. Come up here and check to include those without number, and now you can go through and grab people and move them over to the right if you want to. Okay. Bottom right, I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to take me then into this Auto Assign Number screen. Okay, very important. If you want people sorted alphabetically and numerically together, you need to come up here and hit the giver name column. That's going to resort all of your givers, and it's going to put them in alphabetical order. Then you come down here to the bottom left, you hit select all. Top left, pick the number you want to start with the assignment. We're going with number 1. And then I'm going to hit assign selected here. And it's going to come through my list. And if I looked in this new number starting column, it's starting at 1 and it's working its way up. Okay. Same here. Everybody here is in alphabetical order. You can scroll down through the list. Just double check, make sure everybody's here that you need. And if the list looks good, bottom right, save and close. If you decide you need to pick someone else, you can go back to choose givers, or if you're not happy with it, you can hit cancel and close. Right? But I like my list, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close. And that's all there is to it, to do a mass reassignment of your people with numbers. All right, let's see. Now we are on to page 4 in that document if you're following along. I'm going to walk you through how to get labels with giver numbers on them. Okay. To do that, you're going to come up to the top under Reports and Export. You're going to go to Lists and Labels, and then you're going to come down here to Labels. All right, over here on the far right, I'm going to tell it that I don't want people who don't have a giver number, so I'm going to remove the check mark in the box that says include those without numbers. If you only need labels for a particular range, you can definitely utilize this giver number range box, and you can make your adjustments there to only print labels for particular numbers. Now, this next step's really important. You need to come to this Giving and Pledging tab. You need to come over to the right, and you need to change this Use Numbers Current As Of box. Okay, so because we want numbers printed or on labels for 2019, we need to change this Use Numbers Current As Of to the 1st of next year. Okay, if you don't change that, you're just going to get labels with numbers that have people's current numbers on it. Okay. Let's go up to the Sort tab. You can set the sort order that you want your labels printed in. Since the sort by giver number and giver name are identical for this, it doesn't really matter what you choose, but you can definitely choose zip code if you need to. Bottom right, hit Next. So then we're going to be on step 2, and this is where we have to set up a label that not only includes their name and their address, but also their giver number. Okay, say we need labels to stick on envelope boxes. This is the layout you would need. So I'm going to hit New Label over here. I'm going to specify my label product that I'm using. Most of the time people I talk to use 5160, but we have a lot of options you can pick from in these 2 drop boxes here. Once you get the label product that you're using, bottom right, hit Finish, and your report designer is going to open. Now in the report designer, the default layout is going to include the mailing label and the address. Okay, so that's going to give you the mailing label or the family name that you have set up on the family record when you go into membership. And it's also going to include their address. So what I need to do is I'm going to scooch this down just a little bit so I can make some space for my giver number. Once you have room up here for your giver number, I'm going to come over here to the right under Data Controls, and I'm going to grab this giver number field. Okay, I'm just going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to drop it right above my mailing label and address field. So this box is going to print my giver number. This box is going to print my mailing label and address. Right? Once you get that set up, top left, go to Save As. You're going to need to change this name a little bit. You can't leave the default, so I'm going to call it 5160 mailing label, address, and giver number. I'm going to say OK. And then top right, I'm just going to hit the X to close out of the report designer. And now in my label layout drop box, it's showing me the layout that I just made. All right, now keep in mind, once you make this giver number label, it's always going to be in this drop box. So you can pick this again next year, or if you need to rerun labels with giver numbers, it'll always be here for you to use. Okay. Right below that where it says 1 label per, go ahead and choose the giving unit. And then bottom right, we are going to hit Print. And this will just allow you to see what the print preview looks like. Pretty straightforward. We have the mailing label name, we have their address, and then in the top left-hand corner, we have their giver number. All right, so I'm going to get Boogie in here. We got a couple more things to cover, so I'm sorry if I'm rushing, but we do have a lot to cover. Next I want to show you is about setting up campaigns. So if you are a pledging church, there are a couple options for new campaigns for 2019. You have the option to copy an existing campaign and move it forward to the next year, or you can start from scratch and make a completely new one. So I am going to show you both of those. Up here at the top, you're going to go to Accounts and Pledges, and then you're going to click on Pledges. And the first tab that's going to open up is the campaign pledges. This campaign drop box is going to show you all of the campaigns that have been set up. Okay, so let's say we want to take our 2018 general fund campaign and we want to take everybody and all of their pledges and we just want to copy the information up for 2019. To do that, you just select the campaign, which you can see I've done, and then you come up here to the top right and you're going to hit this Copy Campaign button. It's going to open up a new window, which requires you to put in a new campaign. So I am going to call this General Fund 2019. I'm going to verify my start date and end date are the dates that I need, and then I'm going to simply hit OK. And now my screen's updated. It's showing me all of the same people with all of the same pledging, but up at the top I can see it says General Fund 2019 and my start date and end date are for 2019. Now at this point you can definitely come in and update information. So say somebody pledged $300 if we're talking about William here and we need to update it because he's going to start pledging $500 quarterly. You can simply click on this box and update the information, and then it's going to update his total pledge amount. All right, so that is how you copy an existing campaign. Now let's say you need to create a new campaign from scratch. Say this is the first time your church is going to do a building campaign. If that's the case, we're going to come up here to campaign, we're going to hit the green plus sign, and I'm just going to call it Building Campaign 2019. I'm going to say OK. Next, I need to specify the account people are pledging to. Simply hit the down arrow. You can pick from an existing account or use the plus if you need to make a new giving account. But I already have a building fund, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to update my years. Just make sure my start date and end date are correct. And then I'm going to come over to the right, hit Add Givers. That's going to then show me the rest of this screen where as pledge cards come in, I can go in and enter my pledgers. So just for example, I'm going to choose Jack. He's pledging $500 with a frequency of monthly. Once I get that information in, I'm going to hit Add Giver to Campaign, and now we have Jack for a total pledged amount of $6,000 for 12 months. And then as more pledge cards come in, come back up to the top, enter your next giver, their pledging information, and hit Add Giver to Campaign, and they will then pop down below. Okay, last thing I want to show you, bottom of page 5. This has to do with prepaids. Not every church I talk to or not every organization I talk to uses prepaids, but some do. So this would be if you have someone donating in, say, 2018, but they want that money to go to their pledge for 2019. All right, so I want to walk you through using Jack as an example how to enter a prepaid donation. You're going to go right here into the Enter Donation screen. You're going to use the donation date that the person gave the gift, okay? So let's say Jack made a prepayment to his building fund pledge for next year last Sunday. So I'm going to choose the 16th. In my giver box, I'm looking for Jack. He's got number 7. I'm going to come over to the right and I'm going to put in an amount. Let's say he just gave $500. He gave a check, put in his check number. Now this is the crucial part. This is what changes a regular donation to being a prepaid. Down under account/pledge, if I hit the down arrow, you don't want to just pick building fund up here at the top, okay? You actually need to start scrolling down to the bottom and you're going to start seeing some pledge ranges, okay? So these are going to be listed out, the account and all the years this person has pledged in the past. So if I want this $500 gift to go towards his 2019 building fund pledge, I have to choose this line. Okay, so the donation date is in 2018. It's for his building fund pledge in 2019. This is how donations handles prepaids. Okay, so it's really important you enter them this way. You do not want to choose a giving account specifically called prepaids. Your reports will not show up properly. Okay, so if you need more help with this, call us. We can help you. But once you get this put in, hit Done Add to Batch, and then we can do Post and Transfer. Okay. No, I don't want to print. All right, so now it's going to take me to the Transfer Donations to Accounting screen. So if you don't utilize our accounting module, this doesn't pertain to you, but if you do use the accounting module, a lot of people we talk to want to handle this prepaid giving differently. Okay, so they don't want this prepaid giving to just go into the common credit account or the normal income account for building fund contributions. Okay, normally people want prepaids to go into a pass-through account or a liability account over in accounting. This liability account is going to start with a number 2. So in accounting, whomever does your accounting side of Church Windows, you want to make sure you have a liability account set up specifically for prepaid pledges. Okay, so when this money transfers over into accounting, it's not going to hit as income in 2018. It's going to come in a liability account. It's going to stay there. It's going to hold its balance. Once you start your new year in 2019, that money will still be sitting in the liability account. At that point in 2019, you can go in, do a journal entry, and you can move that money out of the liability account into an income account. Okay. Again, it's covered in the document I'm going over, and of course, if you have questions, call us. But make sure when you transfer the prepaids over, you're choosing a liability. Okay, so I'm going to hit Post here just to send this over to accounting. Here's my confirmation. It's showing me what's being debited. Here's my checking and what's being credited, my prepaid liability, and I'm just going to hit Post. Now, Church Windows does have another feature that will help you to make sure that you always get that prepaid money going into the liability. On the Transfer Donations to Accounting screen, if you go to this Default Account Links tab, we do have this column here called Prepaid Credit Account. Okay, so anytime Church Windows, or donations I should say, recognizes a prepaid, you can set it up to automatically go into the liability account of your choosing. So I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to find my prepaid pledges account. So the next time I post a prepaid on my Transfer to Accounting screen, it's going to automatically go into my prepaid pledges account. Okay, when I post a gift, just a regular gift that isn't a prepaid to building fund, it's automatically going to pull my income account, my number 4. All right, and once you get it set up on here, like I said, it'll automatically pull that account in for you on the Transfer tab. All right, guys, that is all I have for you today. Let me go check out questions here and see how Josh is doing getting you guys answered. Let's see here. I'm sorry, let me scoot this over. Okay, a couple questions coming in. Let me see if there are some good ones. Someone's asking, what part of the training manual will this be from? Carl, this is not part of a training manual. At the beginning of the webinar, I showed you on the website where you can find this. Let me pull it up one more time if anybody signed in late. If I go out to churchwindows.com, on our website, we have a whole section under supporting dedicated to New Year Prep and Help. So if we go to supporting and then click on New Year Prep and Help, along the left, excuse me, these are all of our documents and videos that we have. Simply scroll down, and right here, donations, New Year Prep Steps. This is what I followed for today's webinar. Feel free to come out here, print it out for yourselves. As always, the webinar is getting recorded, so you'll be able to view this webinar on our website towards the end of the week. All right, I'm trying to find another question for you here. If you're wanting to stop giver numbers completely, there is a tool that will help you do that. I don't have time to go over that today, but feel free to call us and we can definitely walk you through that. Deborah, great question. Deborah's saying, I'm entering pledges for 2019 now, but next to the person is still their 2018 number. That is correct. The numbers are not going to change in donations until the date down here in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer changes to 2019. So even though you're working on your 2019 numbers or you've set them up, you're not going to see those new numbers take effect in the drop boxes and the search boxes until your date on your computer says 1/1/2019. Great question, Deborah. All right, I'm just reading questions here. John's asking how to give the same number to other members in the family. John, that's done in Manage Givers. On the Giver Number tab, you'll definitely need to go in there and check People Gives with Family. Right here. Each person that you want to give together needs to have that checked. John, if you're seeing two numbers when you run labels, that means, well, I shouldn't say that means. My assumption would be that you are choosing one label per family instead of choosing one label per giving unit. All right, if you guys got the information you want, I know I took a little bit longer. I apologize for that. There was a lot of information to cover, but feel free to sign out. You can leave the webinar if you got the information you were looking for. If you still have a question, please feel free to type that in and I will get you an answer that way. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. I hope you guys learned something new today that'll help you with your new year prep. And of course, if you come across questions, you can always email us to support@churchwindows.com or give us a call on our 1-800 number. And I hope you all have a happy holiday. Thank you.